the keys are to the glory days at the stick. From who's got it better than us to brick by brick. It's always the 49ers way, from off-season to game day. Yeah, we talk back. It's the 49ers Cutback.
It's 49ers Cutback Podcast time, and it's time for another position battle. Safety position opposite of Jimmie Ward, Talanoa Hufanga versus Tarvarius Moore. I'm really excited to talk about this one, Alex, because I think this is going to be more of a battle than people really think. A lot of people are already starting to put their chips in the Hufanga bandwagon, but could it be Tarvarius Moore?
Look, last year, this time when we were doing these types of videos, we were making the case for why Tarvarius Moore might have been the sleeper, the dark horse, a guy who could potentially usurp Jaquiski Tartt last year. We brought this up and talked about it. All signs were potentially pointing to it, and then boom, injury. Could that be the case again this year? You're about to find out, so make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and let us know right now down below who you think is going to walk away from this position battle as, I guess, safety 2 for the 49ers, because ain't nobody taking on Jimmie Ward this year. That's not happening, but comment down below right now.
Yeah, Jimmie Ward is very secure, but who's going to play opposite of him has been the question of the offseason. It appeared right away the 49ers weren't as interested in bringing back Jaquiski Tartt as maybe all of us thought that was going to be. Tartt played very well last year, and his understudy was Talanoa Hufanga. Hufanga, a 5th-round pick out of USC, played 41% of the snaps in 2021, and I thought he did a pretty good job. Now, there were some rough patches. There were some times where he struggled a little bit in coverage, and there were things that he needed to definitely improve on. But he's had an entire offseason, and the 49ers are saying nice things about him. DeMeco Ryans is talking about how he's, using his vocal part of his game to be able to put people in the right places, including Jimmie Ward. I think that goes a long way to showing how much Talanoa Hufanga has improved. The only problem is Tarvarius Moore was a guy that was coming up in 2019 as a guy that was coming on the scene and making plays for the defense, and the 49ers were feeling more and more comfortable, and he has starting experience as well in 2020. So you have two guys that are pretty evenly matched. Both of them come at the game a little bit different. Moore being a better cover guy than Hufanga, but Hufanga being a better guy in the box. So it's a kind of a pick what you want. Which traits do you like best? Alex, who do you think the 49ers are leaning towards in this battle?
As of this moment in time, I believe it's Talanoa Hufanga. Number one, he's been taking the first team reps now. Is that because Moore's not healthy, or is it because they trust Hufanga a little bit more? Probably a mixture and a combination of both of those things, which is why he's been almost taking them exclusively, which I'm A-okay with right now. The reality is that the 49ers have predicated themselves, and the big chunk of their success last year, Ant, was being able to shut down run games. And a lot of that was safeties being able to come in the box when needed. Not always, not lining up, 9 guys in the box consistently, but when needed, the safeties could come down and play in a big way. And Hufanga did that last year. That was a part of what he added to that table. So I think it's something that DeMeco Ryans wants in his safeties. He wants that ability to come down the box and lay that hammer down. Now, listen, Tarvarius Moore is not a slouch out there. He will hit people out in space.
He will.
It's usually the receivers catching the ball coming across the middle of the field, not running backs running downhill straight at him. That's not the strength here. Hufanga, that's a little bit closer and a little bit more of what his strength was. He struggles a little bit in coverage, gets a little lost sometimes, or at least doesn't play at the depth that he should. But he's got a full offseason to work on that. He's got this whole training camp to demonstrate where he's at. I think he's the closest of the two to being a more well-rounded corner and being a guy that they can rely on both in the run and the pass game than Tarvarius Moore is. And that's why right now I'd say he has the edge up in this position battle.
Yeah, I think Hufanga does. I think part of the thought process behind why Tarvarius Moore, should be a part of this competition and really with his skill set you would think would be leading it is because the way that the defense safeties have been used for first Robert Saleh and then DeMeco Ryans was a more left-right system, right? You saw Jimmie Ward and Jaquiski Tartt both being able to play deep, the deep third, but also come up in the box and make plays. We've seen Moore be able to do both already. Hufanga has done one very well. In the box, he's fantastic. I don't even think it would be a question if you're talking who's the best in the box. I think it's Hufanga. But when it comes to the deep third, there's a little bit more questions. And I'm not sure right now we have that left-right ability that we saw last year with Tartt, and with Ward. And I think that that's really what they want. Could Hufanga show up training camp and have developed that during the offseason and is ready to roll? Absolutely he could, but I think that is part of the reason that Tarvarius Moore is in the midst of this work to get this job, because of that ability to play left and right. And really, I mean, they moved him to corner at one point. That's how much they like his coverage.
Look, here's the reality too with this. What we're saying with Hufanga in terms of his development is not something that he's going to be able to come into practice in a drill and demonstrate. Oh, look, I've mastered this skill set. This is an applicable skill set. This is understanding game, field, scheme, and being able to do those things, transition in space, and cover based on route concepts, things of that nature that you've been studying and prepping for. You're going to work on some footwork things and being able to transition and plant and explode, and that's all great and good and fine, but if it's not applicable on field, then none of it matters. What you do in a drill will not matter if he doesn't translate to the field. And so that's why this is not something that's going to get decided day 1 of camp, day 2 of camp, the first preseason game. It's going to drag out until the very end of this whole process.
And I think one of the things to remember is there's an absolute X factor when it comes to Talanoa Hufanga, and that's instincts. Mm-hmm. Instincts to make plays. This guy finds the football. I mean, River Craycraft is still just teary-eyed that he did not pick up that football and score a touchdown against Green Bay. Thank God. But Hufanga seems to find the ball. He seems to make big plays. Every single time he's out there, he flashes. He's hitting someone like you talked about over the middle. Mm-hmm. You know, those things can't be ignored. And I think there's an X factor with him. Now, we've seen Moore make plays, including an interception in the Super Bowl. So it's not like he can't, but for some reason, there's just something about Talanoa Hufanga that draws you to him. I'm just hoping that he got the coverage down, because if he did, he's one of those guys that can definitely elevate his game to be equal to the level that we saw from Jaquiski Tartt last year. But Tartt was so good at run fits, Alex. I don't know if either one of these guys can reach his level this year in run fits.
I would agree with you. It was obvious last year that Tarvarius Moore, but Jaquiski Tartt was the maestro. Him and Jimmie Ward both were phenomenal coming down in run fits, and Hufanga had a couple of games, including that Arizona game, where he came down and didn't quite fit in and wasn't exactly where he was supposed to be and wasn't able to make a tackle, and it turned into a big run and a touchdown for the Cardinals. Look, I think Talanoa still has a lot of things to learn. The surprise was where he was at, because I didn't expect him to be where he was last year. He looked great in preseason. When he got his reps in during games, he looked good in those situations as well. He was further along in his development than I expected him to be, and that was a plus. It's a huge plus for the 49ers. The question is does that trend continue? Because if it does, then Tarvarius Moore could be on the outside looking in and looking way up, way down the ladder going, holy crap, that was quick. I thought I was right on the tails of Jaquiski Tartt. It looks like things have changed here very shortly in one season. If that isn't the case, though, then Tarvarius Moore is sitting in a prime position. And who knows, maybe this is a situation where, because of each guy having an elite skill set in terms of something they do in one aspect of the game, Hufanga in run situations, Moore in coverage, that we could see them splitting time. One starts off as the base down guy, that's Talanoa Hufanga, because of his ability to come up in the box and play, and one guy goes in on certain passing situations or certain packages.
Yeah, I think if they're both on the roster, you're going to see both of them. I do think that. I just wonder if Hufanga's improved as much as everyone says he has, and if he's really becoming that vocal leader that they need him to be on the defense and becoming that captain, Tarvarius Moore might not even have an opportunity. Hufanga might not surrender this to him. He might just take this. And
that's what he needs to do.
I kind of hope he does. Right? I want that savagery. I want that guy that's going to be out there laying people out, telling everyone where they're supposed to be.
I want a Talanoa Hufanga head and shoulders commercial in the next 6 months, Ant. That's how dominant I want him to be.
One way to get that is to be a starter in the NFL. And Hufanga's definitely got the ability. So let's see what happens when these two get out there. But there's a lot of conversation. I think this room is going to be something to continue to watch as we get into training camp, because I don't think anything is settled now. Do I believe, like you said, Hufanga is the leader in the clubhouse? Absolutely. I think that he definitely is. And we just don't know where Moore is at with his Achilles and the recovery. If he's full level and full ready to go, he's got tremendous speed. He's going to be able to run with receivers. That's something he can do. One interesting tidbit about Tarvarius Moore, though, in 2020, he actually played better in the box than he did in coverage. And that's interesting. True. And we always talk about Tartt's coverage skills. Tartt was actually better and did more in 2020 in coverage. So we'll see how this all plays out. One of these guys is going to win the job. I'm curious who it's going to be.
We're excited to see who it's going to be, and we want to hear from you, Cutback Crew. Who do you think? After you've heard us talk about it, maybe you commented early Hufanga. Maybe you commented early Tarvarius Moore. Maybe you're a George Odom guy, and you were just throwing that name in there just to be that person. You know what? That's A-okay. Did this conversation sway you one way or the other? Let us know in the comment section down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that notification bell and hop on over to Patreon for additional content, and because they can watch some of those film breakdowns in which we talked about Talanoa Hufanga a little bit and maybe get an idea of where we're coming from.
Yeah, exactly. You can go check those out. There's lots of stuff over on Patreon. So if you decide to sign up, go peruse a little bit, see what's going on with some of the additional content. But Alex, I think there's one thing that I can guarantee.
Okay.
Somebody in chat or in comments is going to say Leon O'Neal Jr.
Yikes.
should be the starting safety for the 49ers.
Yikes.
Death, taxes, and Leon O'Neal starting.
All right, Cutback Crew, if that's your cup of tea, I guess let us know about it in the comment down below, and I'll do everything I can to not personally dislike it. Not the 49ers Cutback dislike it, me logging in to dislike it. I don't agree with you on it, but maybe you can make a case that can sway me. Looking forward to hearing if that person exists in our chat, and if so, why? And hopefully you're not just trolling me, Mr. Corey.
Or Candy R.
Or anyone of that nature. But hey, you know what, Ant? It's an interesting position battle, and there's plenty more to come. So make sure you stick around for the next one, whenever that may be, Ant. And until the next time, TCC and the faithful, stay safe.
Remember, the right way is always the 49ers way.